Let's take a step back in time to 2000, 16 years ago. Tell me about the first time you met Oliver Smith.
Well, I met Oliver Smith through Jono. They kind of became bunnies, and he just suggested that we work together. So we gave it a go. I remember being in his tiny little student flat that I was in the previous year, and we just kept doing it. I was amazed with how clean his mixes were compared to mine, because at that time, although I've been writing music since a very, very early age, my production was, it was getting there, but it wasn't as good as his. And I learned so much from working with Oliver Smith. His mixes were always just so, I don't want to say digital because we all want to say like analog and warm, but I mean digital as in just like, yeah. It was just like, and it became something where I really look forward to working with him. And we did 3 singles, and funny enough, they felt at the time they felt a little bit ahead of the scene of what it was doing. I know that sounds a little bit arrogant, but we were really pushing. And the reason why I say that is because we sent these demos out, and even to Anjunabeats, they weren't up for it.
Oh, they weren't even Jono, even though he set you guys up. He was.
But 3 years later, they said, those tracks, and then they put it out, and that was forever.
Wow, that's a cool story. So you were actually, like you said, a little bit, tiny bit before.
Yeah. So what going back to what I was talking to you about earlier about my own productions, it's like I write all the time. It is not to say that I'm not going to suddenly pull out of a bag that I wrote 3 years ago. Because, like I said, I'm pushing boundaries. I mean, sometimes I don't do that, and you just end up with something classical. But yeah, always pushing forward. But yeah, so with Oliver, we did that single. We also, I think we did. This is really testing my memory, but there was something that there was a single called "Into Deep," I believe, which wasn't released. I can't remember. That's terrible.
There's Smith and Pledger that's unreleased, possibly.
Well, it's not unreleased because Matt Hardwick was a prolific kind of resident with Gatecrasher, and he loved this track that was sent to him. I think that it was sent. I don't know who sent it to him. So long ago. Anyway, he liked the track. He wanted to put it on his Gatecrasher compilation. And I think that kind of spurred it all, because he then wanted to do a collaboration with Smith and Pledger, so that's how Day One came. And Matt Hardwick came to our bedroom studio and sat in our bedroom studio next to the bed and the speakers. I'm not going to make out we're in some like huge studio, because we weren't, but it was fun. And we had our little lunches with Matt Hardwick, and got in the studio, did all that. Anyway, it went perfectly well, and Anjunabeats loved it, and they signed that. And I think that's why they kind of perhaps looked back at some of our older demos and thought, actually, we're going to release this too. And that's just how it kind of spiraled, really. So I can thank Matt Hardwick, and I can thank John O'Grant and Anjunabeats, and of course James Grant too.
Cool. Like, you and Oliver, how did you guys work in the studio? Was it that you were working like together? Did somebody do this and somebody did that, or?
It was always a mixture, but the only thing that we took turns on is who bought lunch.
Yeah, you did that.
It was just like it's your turn today. Was it? Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Like we would pick it up from the shop. We never would go out. We occasionally went out for a meal, but it was always because we were working at home. We had the kitchen there, so we were I think Ollie's going to kill me for saying this, but pies and beans. Pies and baked beans, that English stuff that people think is not disgusting. But yeah, we loved it. Had our pies and beans, or Smith and Pledger pies and beans, or what became Smith and Pledger lunches, which is code for pies and beans. So there you go.
How did you guys approach the remix of Luminary's Amsterdam?
Actually, that was kind of I'm just gonna say this because this is the truth. But basically, we started doing a remix, and because the original was really progressive, I thought it was a great vocal. So we thought, well, let's write a riff, a trance lead. So we wrote a completely original trance lead that worked with this. That part of it is not a remix.
It's like a new written, newly.
That's our music. The riff is our music. The vocal and everything else, the bass, that's kind of from the original. But that lead that everyone's like, dan, 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 that's ours, you know. And, you know, I was very proud of that. But going back to, like, the new artists of today, so many of them, you know, they're like, oh, I'm not going to do a remix where I give away, I'm just going to do, you know, they don't feel like, well, you know, why don't you just give something to the track?
Yeah, add something new, right? Or
yeah, add something new to it. It's like, yes, you could make your own music out of it, but you've got a fantastic opportunity. This is a great vocal. It's on a great label. And I just felt like this track needs a riff. If we do like a big trance lead, this is going to go off. If we don't do it, not the case. I mean, these days it's a little bit different. People will probably approach it more in a kind of tech trance way. They'll probably have like just the breakdown and slamming with some beats. But, you know, I'm kind of coming around to like, you know, back to that old school, like having music drive the track, you know. So that's kind of why we needed to have the riff, the lead.
Was there, for you and Oliver, was there a specific time when you were like, wow, this is working, what we're doing? Because you started out in a bedroom, right? Like producing for yourselves. But was there a time when you realized that people actually like and people actually listen to what we do? When, like, was there a moment for that?
It was we were very enclosed for a while until we started DJing. I think that when we started getting people wanting to book us, you know, we started realizing that things are starting to happen, and we were getting a lot of remix offers, and you know, I guess that's what did it. I mean, I think the moment that really kicked it off is when we had we did a remix of Darren Tate and John O'Grant, "Let the Light Shine In." It was like a Smith and Pledger, like really hard mix. And, you know, like, this guy played it on the radio for weeks, Judge Jules, sorry, not this guy. Judge Jules played it on Radio 1 for, like, 9 weeks or something like that. And it was just, like, it was incredible. Every week we were like, wow, he just keeps playing it and keeps playing it and keeps playing it. And I think that's where we just started to, you know, all really, like, feel like there's something happening. We keep getting remix offers, we're starting to get gig offers, and yeah, that's how it's happened. When people start coming to you, there's so many people holding out their hands, but when people start coming to you, so work hard, and then the phone will start ringing or the whatever, you know.
What was it like to move into music? Because then you moved into music full time, right? Both you and Oliver.
Yeah.
Did that change anything, or?
Not really, because at university we were doing that, and then we left university and we were doing that. There wasn't really any change. It was just the only change was the venue. I mean, there was a few years where we were in my studio, and there's a few years where in his studio. You know, there was times where I was like traveling for like, I don't know, like an hour and a half to get to his, and an hour and a half home, and you know, like, but you know, I'd never done it any differently. It was just so focused, it's just so hard working that you know you didn't care. It's like every day from about 11 till 5. We treat it like a job, basically, but a really good one.
After, like, because a lot of the tracks were picked up, and they got a lot of attention, but was there any pressure on what you were going to release or work on next, or could you still keep it cool?
I think we have never really looked over our shoulders. And I think that's what I still do. It really is just like, I'm going to write a beautiful melody that I resonate with, you know, like that you feel. Yeah. That's it. That's the secret to music. If you feel something from it, I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there that are going to feel the same emotion, basically.
So you pretty much, you produce for yourself. Yeah. Like, you don't focus on...
Don't ever write music thinking about money. Don't ever do it. It has to be pure emotion. Doesn't matter if you want it to sound like somebody's chopping someone's head off. That's an emotion.
What was it like to, because you were producers at first, you and Oliver. What was it like to go into the world of DJing as well?
It was a very quick learning curve. First gig that we ever got asked to do was in the longest and biggest trance night in London at Turnmills. It was like an Anjuna Beats night. So, you know, we had like 3 months to learn how to DJ. I'd never DJed before that.
How did it go, or how was it?
Really well, really well. I mean, I invested. We bought like, I bought a couple of record decks and one CDJ. Because back then that was less frequent
Yeah.
option. Now it's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, we learned really fast, and it was our studio. I guess we probably did less studio work because it was just like training. I've always been, I guess I take after my mother's a teacher. Structure, training. So it's like every day we mixed. And actually, Matt Hardwick was very kind enough to give me all of his sort of older vinyl collection to work. He said, when you're learning, you're going to screw this stuff up. So here you go, take this stuff. I did go to a few record stores and bought a few because it was really horrible music. There were ones you didn't want, so it's just like, ugh. But it gave you like, you know, enough records to not have to, because when you, at that time they're like, I mean, about £6 or £7 for a vinyl, like $13 or, you know. So, you know, like you can't just go in there and buy hundreds and hundreds of pounds, you know, so you can keep going. So it was good to have all these records to, you know, just keep us mixing for a few hours, whether we like the stuff or not. So that's how we did it, and then we did the gig, and it went really, really well. It was, you know, it was, I guess we planned it out, but we still mixed it. We did everything at the way that you should.
Prepared, right, for...
Yeah. I'm saying that we didn't fake it.
Yeah. You mentioned vinyl, because this was really the vinyl era. What did, just out of curiosity, what did, like, track sales look like back then, like, compared to now?
Well, I don't really have a clue. I really don't. I mean, we made good royalties and things, but, you know, we get this huge sheet where it was just all these different royalties, where it comes from, and blah, blah. And, you know, I just didn't really care. I at that time, it was just like, well, that's all great, that's good, but next single, what's going to happen next? Which management are we going to try and get on? Where, you know, how are we going to achieve this? So, yeah.
And then Oliver moved to Amsterdam. And you guys kind of split up. And you focus on your solo careers, or...?
No, we didn't split up straight away. He moved to Amsterdam for a little bit, but it just became so sort of difficult to maintain that. Because we were so, you know, like working together in the same room, it just became just difficult. And things were kind of slowed down. I think that a lot of pressure at that time, I don't know, made Olie perhaps just want to take a bit of time out. And I'm there kind of wanting to go full steam ahead. Yeah. And Olie, you know, he went to Amsterdam, and he had a good time, and he relaxed, and then he came back stronger as a solo producer as well. I mean, I'll never say never, because there's a lot of people that say, you know, interviews like, so what happened, you know, like, did you like have a falling out, like, do you hate each other? It's like, no, not at all. He's one of my best friends, and he always will be, but you know, he has his vision of what he wants to do. I have my vision. I still love Smith and Pledger. I'm not going to lie. I'd still do it. But, you know, I respect his journey, because my whole life has been a musical journey, and that's what he's doing. You know, for better or worse, maybe one day we'll both go, oh, you know what, this solo lark was fun, and we're going to do the Sasha and Digby reunion. But for the moment, we're still plowing ahead on our solo stuff. So.
How did it feel to go solo? What was that like compared to eating pies and beans with someone else like 24/7?
To begin with, it was very lonely, I have to say. It was a little bit kind of like all of a sudden, you know, you don't have your buddy there to kind of like, you know, ask questions, and I don't think that this was around the time where like MySpace was the thing, and it wasn't
very long time ago, kids.
It wasn't quite such. I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, but it wasn't so like where you knew so many people that you'd quickly. Because at the moment I have like a lot of good friends where I like bounce ideas like, what do you think of this, or blah blah blah. I just think that, I mean, the great thing about social media is the fact that it brings a lot of producers together, and we can learn off each other and share certain things and samples and it's, you know, it's nice to work with other people. You do learn a heck of a lot from working with other people. You know, working with Olie and with Mike Coughlin. You know, I'd say that my 3 electronic music tutors to a degree would be Jonathan Grant, Oliver Smith, and Mike Coughlin.
I miss you.